Hello Flosstube, welcome to Snickerdoodle Stitch. My name is Kathleen and this is a channel mostly about cross stitch, although this week I have a little bit of quilting talk to do as well. I just spent 4 days, Thursday through really early Monday morning we left, with some friends at a quilt retreat house. So we had a blast. I took 8 projects with me, and the 8 in progress projects. I didn't let myself start anything new. Well, one new thing, which I'm going to show today because it was a start it, finish it. But I took 7, I took the one new thing and 7 in progress projects, and I got the one new thing completely done and 6 of my in progress projects. So that felt amazing. I didn't even realize how little was left to do on some of them, and others I just made really fast progress on. So managed to get 6 things not completely done, but quilt tops finished, like all the piecing done, the backing piece together. I'm ready for some basting and quilting. So I'm going to be busy this fall. So where to start? I'm going to start with, actually, I'm going to back up. I'm going to start with just a little stitchy talk that's not related to what I did. My note here is about the EU blocking, the EU, Australia, some of our overseas countries have temporarily announced, or I guess temporarily, we'll see. They've announced that until further notice, they're not shipping to the United States. It has to do with the exemption for tariffs on shipments under $800 being lifted, and so we are going to start charging tariffs on shipments under $800. My first thought, of course, when I saw the list was, oh no, I can't get shipments from Australia. What about Silks for You? Not that I need anything from Silks for You right now, but I thought that option was closed off. But I did see online that she's going to do something, ship everything once a month to somebody here in the States that's then going to distribute it for her. I don't know. It's a hot mess. I just, you know, some of these rules are designed for big companies, and I feel so badly for the little businesses, small business, always struggles, right? And just trying to chug along, and now they've got to deal with this mess. So my thoughts go out to everybody with that. But I had the note here when I thought I wouldn't be able to get Silks for You, and now I'm reading that yes, I will be able to get Silks for You. We'll see. I had showed these a while back. They are twin pointed needles. They're for 2-hand stitching, and so the eye is actually here in the middle, and the point, of course, is at each end. And I wanted to do a quick review. Now, in all fairness, I am not currently a 2-hand stitcher. I am trying to adjust to it. It's a little slow going for me. But I did try these. So my take on them, they are very long. I would say, so the eye is here and the point on one end, you know, is down here. That's about the length of a regular needle. So this is not quite the length of 2 needles end to end. It would be like if you overlap 2 eyes, it's that length end to end. So they were very long, which I found awkward to use in either hand. And I'm right-handed. My right hand, it should feel very fluid. It didn't. And my other observation, I thought the points were a little sharp. So I'm used to Edmars. I like Edmars. I like the pony needles. Those are the ones I've been mostly using. Although I've got a couple projects where I have the needles threaded with like 10 different colors of floss, and I know those are like DMC needles. They're not anything fancy, but I think these are a little bit pointier than anything else I have in stash. So I'm used to a more blunt tapestry needle than what these are. So I can't say I love them. I'm not ready to give up on them yet because I do like the concept, but I wouldn't rush out hunting for them, I guess. If somebody gives you one to try it, or if you see a pack. I don't think the pack of needles is very expensive, but jury's still out on these for me. So I think the length bothered me more than the sharpness of the point. All right, now I'm going to show what I worked on at the retreat that I finished. This is, I used a pattern. It's called All the Things Tote. It's from Knot and Thread Design. This is the pattern. I've shown another tote that I had made with this same pattern. And I made the medium size. And it really just changes the length. But here's my tote. I put my Primrose Cottage stitch. Beautiful things come together one stitch at a time. I put that on the one side. Here's the lining. I am so thrilled with this. So this tote has a pocket on each end. The back is just plain. I just took this to my fabric stash and started digging around until I found something that would go with it. I originally pulled this fabric that's in the lining, the inside here, the striped ruler kind of fabric. But then I decided that the stitch piece was going to get too lost against that. So I decided to use it for the lining, and I found this black floral fabric. This is from Basic Gray, but it's part of a Moda line. Basic Gray is the designer. But thrilled with how that came out. Can't wait to take it somewhere. I don't have any plans. Right now, it's just going to sit here so that when I'm in my work day and I turn around, I can see it there and enjoy it. Normally I would do quilting at the end, but since I've just got one other thing to show, this was one that I completely finished. This pattern is called Catwalk, and it's from Art Gallery Fabrics, and it is a free pattern that you can download. So it's just that cat outline up there on the brick wall. And like I said, it's a free download from their website. I had this Stonehenge fabric from Northcott, and I really didn't know what I was going to do with it. It was in my stash, but I decided it looked like a brick wall. And so I did the hanging with the Stonehenge fabric, and then I had to do the cat orange because orange boys are my favorite. I do just have a kind of a plain green. I'm on a mission to only use fabric in stash, not to buy any fabric. And I can't get back far enough to show this whole thing. It was about 40 inches long. I do remember because I would cut the back. So it's not a very big quilt. It's definitely just a wall hanging. And I haven't decided where, but my intention was to hang it in my living room because I've got the greens and actually a little bit of gold in the living room, so it will look nice hanging in there somewhere. So I got that done. That's a quick piece. It's jelly roll friendly, so 2.5 inch strips for the bricks that I'll call them. And then it's narrower strips, like 1.5 inches, I think, for the mortar. All right. I did finish one other thing. So I stuck with my rule, with one exception, I think, of stitching on things that I hadn't stitched on yet this year. I went down and visited my dad a few weeks ago, my dad and his new wife. And so I grabbed this to stitch while I was down there. This is Winter Break from Satsuma Street. It was a kit, so it came with the beads. And where am I? I lost the sequins in here. There's sequins for his nose, and then a few in here, and then there's a lot of beads. There's beads up here, and then there's some beads down. These little diamond shapes are beads. And I got this finished. some weight to hold it up against. Well, here we go. So here he is all done. He is stitched on the paper that came in, the perforated paper that came in the kit. And let me see if I turn him, if you can see the sequins or beads. Maybe at an angle? Well, you can see the beads there, but all right, the beads don't show up so great on camera. Maybe up closer. There we go. So I just need to cut him out and back him with some felt and put a hanger on him, and he's ready for my Mel's Christmas tree that I do every year. And if anybody would like this pattern, and I will try to find, I kept it, it's fallen out of here, and I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to find it now. I did have I had an extra pink and 3 extra clear sequins, so if I can find them, I'll include the sequins. I don't have any beads left. I did use all the beads in the kit. But if anybody would like this pattern, and if I can find them the sequins, just put a comment with the word mouse, and I'll do a drawing the day before my next recording and give this away to somebody. It does have the DMC numbers in there. It's just like 10 colors of DMC. And then any clear bead would work. It's just the sequins. If I can find those, I'll put those in there as well. So I got him done. All right, I'm getting a little disorganized here. What's my problem tonight? I leave tomorrow morning for Galleria. That's what my problem is tonight. All right, this next piece, actually, let me start with the one that I have touched. This is I'm trying to catch up on this stitch along for modern folk embroidery. Put a bird on it. You can ignore the pink post-it. Let me see, December, January, February, March, April, May. Yeah, the pink post-it is covering what is left. Like anything that's not covered by the post-it, I technically should have done if I'm keeping up with the stitch along. But loving this. It's charted to do it single color. If you go to Sunshine Stitcher's Facebook group, people have been because EJ is hosting, people have been posting that they're finished pieces. A lot of people have finished it, or they're in progress pieces on there. And it's been so much fun to see all the different color combinations. Some people have done colors very close to this. A lot of people have done single color. It's just been a lot of fun seeing everybody get creative with the floss and the fabric for it. So here is mine, and I got a lot done. So this is as wide as it will be, and I did stuff all in here, this, and then over here I did a bunch. I got a lot done on this back at the beginning, right after my last video that weekend. I spent a lot of time on this to try and get caught up. So I may get caught up in these 2 weeks. I may not. This weekend I'm at Galleria, and I'll talk a little bit later about what I want to take to Galleria. And then the following weekend is Stitching in the Wild, and I've got different plans for it, and I'm not sure that this is going to go either place, but it may get stitched here at home in between. I'm using a Belle Soie, and I think I'm still on the first skein. It actually isn't eating through floss very fast. And it's Lugana that I dyed myself. There are still like random alphabet letters in the year that needs to get stitched in here. I've intentionally skipped those because I want to look for a lighter color floss, I think, to stitch those. The Belle Soie is much more variegated looking on the skein than it's coming out stitching. And so I want something just, I don't want it to look like it's just one solid color. So my plan is to do the alphabets in a slightly lighter color. But loving how this is coming. This is a fun stitch. well, working with the silks is dreamy too, but it goes pretty fast. This piece in the middle was a beast. I thought I was never going to get that done. It's just there are a lot of really solid pieces. These 4 motifs and these things here, even these. It was a lot of stitching on this middle motif, but having fun with that. All right, everything else I have is in fact stuff that I haven't touched yet this year. That was my goal for August, was to work on some things that I hadn't touched. That's something else I was going to show. This is Barnwood Buttons by Rosewood Manor. And I started this last year, but I hadn't stitched on it at all this year. I'm doing it 1/2 on 36 count Weeks Dye Works Dolphin is the color. And that's pretty true to the color. And what I got done was, well, I did some of the squiggly line, but I did all the flower stems from here over and some of the letters here. I only got a couple nights in on this, but this is about, this line is about the halfway mark. But this is another one that's a fun stitch. It's just, it's 36 count and it's dark fabric, so I need my good light and my good magnifiers to stitch this. I'll hold it up close. I am not a fan of stitching with white. I will say that. But it's coming out okay. It is a white, it's white, it's natural color dinky dyes, which is I would call it like a creamy white. It's not ivory, it's not cream, but it's not a pure white either. That's what this is stitched with. I already have a stash of antique white buttons because it gets buttons, all of these white, the flower blooms are all buttons, they're not stitched. So I worked on that. This one I got last year at Stitch, New Jersey. It's a Works by ABC pattern, black and white and red all over. And I don't have it in here. It was inspired by a fabric, which looked like bandana fabric. But I love these little biscornus. And I had this one done. And now I stitched this one. I want to do a third one. I think I just want a set of 3. I don't think I'm going to do 4. And the back is in black. This is 32 count red linen Zweigart. The back gets done on black, or the bottom I should say, and it really has very little stitching. You got to do the back stitched line so you have the pieces that you can attach together to make the biscornu. And then there's just a tiny little motif in each corner. I don't know if you can see it on there or not. And there's nothing else on the bottom. So it's just like this tiny little flower right there, or whatever that is. I can't even tell. It's just a starburst kind of thing. So once I get the fronts done, the backs are going to go very quickly, and then I just have to be sure I know what to do to assemble them. There's got to be a video out there, right? Pretty sure. I was signed up for, someone at Jingle Ball last year had a class on making biscornus, and I got busy with prepping for holidays and stuff, and I forgot about Jingle Ball until it was like Sunday night. It was over. And they do leave the class recordings available for a while, but then it's into these couple weeks where I'm just crazy busy. I think I saw something about it. No, it wasn't that. There's a needleworks by Jim retreat in Williamsburg every year, and it's historically been the beginning of December as well. And Williamsburg is gorgeous in December. I mean, the Colonial Williamsburg all done up. You could spend days just walking around there. There's just a lot going on then. It's not a time of the year where I really wanting to travel anywhere. I have enough travel happening with family and things. So I read that they're moving it to January, which Williamsburg won't be done up for the holidays still. I don't think. I'm wondering how long they leave anything up. They might leave some twinkle lights and stuff up through the winter. I don't know. I haven't decided. This next one is a cross stitch kit by Luca S. and it's called London, and it's done on 18 count Zweigart Ada. And it's not full coverage. There's a lot, like all that sky is just undone Ada, but it's really just the sky that's not stitched. Almost everything else on there is stitched, so this is a beast. And I had started last year on the red telephone box. And so I did some more work on it. I did kind of everything from here on up. I had the bottom 3 panes down done when I had my surgery last year. This was a start that I did. So I did everything from here up, which doesn't look too exciting, but it's like 1,500 stitches. It was a lot of work just to get that top done. And to get all this beautiful shading and stuff like you get on here, it's a lot of color changes. So there's even a lot of color changes happening in this. It's like 6 or 8 different reds on here, just in these side pieces. And then of course the insides, these are some kind of grayish, tannish grays and more pinky reds, but it's a lot of colors happening in there. It's a fun stitch. It's like I said, 18 count Ada, and it's 2 strands. And oh, sorry, I didn't hold that up closer. I don't remember if I did. It's 18 count Ada, and it's 2 strands, so it's a bit of a tug to drag that through, especially as solid as the stitching is, but it's coming out nicely. I'm happy with it. All right, the last thing I worked on was Ink Circles Sumatran Lace. And here it is. I bought this when I was at Acorns and Threads last year. And I bought everything there. So I bought it's on 32 count Touch of Blue. I don't know who it's got to be Zweigart. It's not overdyed. And I'm stitching it with Silken Colors Tapestry Green. So I had this middle motif done already when I was there, and what I did last week was all of this stuff up here. So this isn't a terribly big piece. I'm almost out to the corner. So I think it's like 10 by 10 when it's done. Yeah, so if we look at the pattern, I've got the center done, and I'm up here through this stuff. So I'm working my way up to the upper left corner. Let me hold it up and see if, yeah, you can see it there. This tapestry green is gorgeous. There's 2 different shades of green in there, and there's kind of a blue color, and I'm seeing if I can get maybe closer to the ring light, if the color will show up more, but it is beautiful floss. It's more what I had in mind for my modern folk embroidery. Not this color, it's not green thread, it's blue, but I wanted some more variety, and that's not happening on that piece. This piece has really nice variety. It's kind of hard to tell. This is actually a bluish color, and then it comes down into a different green, and then a different green yet, and it's just all you know, you would get one little section in one of the colors and then it blends into the next one, and it's just really pretty. So happy with that. So that was everything that I touched, which I hadn't touched yet this year. I do have a few patterns. A couple weeks ago, I took 4 quilts up to a long armor. I picked those up last week and she did beautiful work. I'm so thrilled with them. So her business is Guided Star. Her name is Star. And she just has a fantastic eye for what scale to use. So I picked out the patterns. One of the quilts, she helped me pick out the pattern because I couldn't decide. But she's really good at deciding, okay, this is the pattern that is going to get stitched on here, but how small or how big is it? I don't like my quilts very densely quilted. So she leaned that direction, but she did a fantastic job. So once I get those trimmed down and bound, I'll show those too. But so anyway, when I was up that way, I did stop at a cross stitch shop and I did buy a few patterns, even though I'm not supposed to be buying patterns. A couple of these were ones that I was on the lookout for. One of them is Tiny Town, a honey of a tiny town. And that's it. And I want to do that for my dad. My dad has a rolling pin, which his mother gave him a few months ago. She wanted him to fix it. So it's like an 85-year-old rolling pin. And it's got the red wooden handles and one of them has broken off. So she wanted him to fix that. And he's like, how am I going to fix this? And it's not the rolling pin she uses. But he has this. My grandmother passed just about a month ago, but she told my dad this was the only gift his father ever bought her, was this rolling pin. Now, in fairness, they would have been newlyweds. My dad's father was killed in World War II, so they were only together. I mean, my dad was 3. So I don't think they were together very many years, and part of that he would have been overseas. So it sounds worse than it really is, that the only thing he ever bought her was this rolling pin. But what I was thinking I could do, I could stitch this, and similar to how I wrapped around long ways on the wood piece that I got at Hobby Lobby, I could make a thing that would wrap around the rolling pin with the bees. My dad likes bees. Although I'm not sure there's actually any bees. Oh, there are some tiny little bees flying around. So that was why I was looking for that. And then I was looking for Maggie May, and everybody is always sold out of her when I'm in the shops looking for her. I did the little mouse that was part of the Animal Cracker series. I have seen Maggie May stitched up, and she is darling stitched up. So I'm not a rabbit person, but I thought I might stitch her up and use her at Easter. I saw somebody had it stitched with a straight dress. They had done it straight in here instead of these little teeny tiny flowers that she gets on her dress. But let me see. Let me cover my face and see if I can get it to focus. There we go. And then the last thing I got, this is so small, I'm not sure if it's going to show up. It's Cricket Collection Trick or Treat. And I want to do this banner that's here on this long skinny piece that says Trick or Treat. So I did pick up a few patterns. I wasn't supposed to be buying patterns because I'm off to Galleria. And I'm going to go to Color and Cotton while I'm there. And then I'm going to be at Stitching in the Wild. And I'm sure there will be exclusives there. At Galleria, Rosewood Manor, Karen Kluba is going to be there. So I was doing sampler September, although I don't have a lot of samplers. So I may have to mix some other things in. I do have a lot of Quaker pieces though. So I could do a Quaker sampler mix in with samplers. But I want to take a Rosewood Manor I think the blue one, Tisket Tasket. Tisket Tasket. Does that sound right? A Tisket, a Tasket. I started it at Stitch, New Jersey, and it's a Rosewood Manor. And so I'm planning on taking that. And then I think I'm going to take the sampler from Stitch North, the Pansy Patch quilts, because I really want to work on that one. There's a lot of other businesses that I'm not as familiar with. They're going to be at Galleria. There's some shops that are coming, like Inspired Needle. So they always bring, well, they probably are going to have stuff from the August market with them. And then Atomic Ranch is going to be there. And I love Atomic Ranch fabric. I have stitched things on Atomic Ranch fabric. I have a lot in stash. Sorry, I was looking to see, is anything I have today? But it's not. They are one of my favorite dyers. But I don't know who it is behind Atomic Ranch. Who's the person doing this dyeing? So I'm kind of excited. I'm hoping that the dyer is actually there. So Atomic Ranch is there, and then there's another dyer that I had not heard of before. So interested in seeing what they have. I did look online a little bit. They do have very saturated colors. It's very mottled, so it may be more mottled than what I tend to pick up to use, but we'll see. But I was scanning the list of who was coming because I was like, oh, I should take projects that are from those people. And then I have this association then. But Rosewood Manor was the only one that I went, oh, I definitely have some Rosewood Manor patterns in stash. In fact, this one was Rosewood Manor that I was just stitching on. And then, of course, I've got the, Cornwall Cottage sampler. I was like, I have something big that I'm working on of theirs. Cornwall Cottage sampler. I'm not going to take that one because it is on white. And just with traveling, I'd rather not be working on white fabric. It's just harder to keep your hands clean and stuff. So I'm not going to take that one. And I probably will buy something from her when I'm there. I have seen these really cool Christmas trees that she just came out with. So, and then, so I'll take some Rosewood Manor and sampler to Galleria. And then when I go to Stitching in the Wild, I may take Halloween stuff. Gary is huge in Halloween, and one of the hosts of the retreat. He's huge into Halloween, and last year, all of the charts that he had as exclusives, because he had multiple exclusives there, they were all Halloween themed. And October is normally the only month I stitch Halloween, but I think I'm going to add in that weekend. I may do Halloween and one other project that's not seasonal, like my Toledo to Toledo. That's right. I did tell Diane that I would bring to Toledo, and she thought she might start it there. So I'll take that along. And that's on 28 count, so I can stitch that one in the dark. So that's my stitching plans. I'm waving this thing around. I bought this gadget this weekend. I realized I hadn't taken my awl, and I really needed my awl to put the binding on that bag that I made. So the Stitch Retreat is right next to the Motherlode quilting store. Thousands and thousands and thousands of bolts of fabric. Huge sale section that's like $5.99 a yard. And it's literally, you walk across, there's a house in between. You walk across that behind their house, and you're at this jumbo fabric store. This is all out in the country. I'm not like walking through a neighborhood house, and the house is affiliated with the place we were staying and the quilt shop. But as I was looking, I didn't end up buying an awl because I saw something there and realized that I did have an awl with me. But I saw this thing, and it's made by Clover, and it's called a thread pick. And you're not going to be able to see it here. I'll hold it up against my shirt. It is basically the world's tiniest crochet hook. There's a tiny, tiny little hook on the end, and this is very fine and thin. The end is not a lot bigger. It's probably about as thick as a 22, size 22 needle. And then it's got this microscopic little crochet hook. Well, I was pulling threads on this so that I could have it nice and square. And what I like to do is measure out from each side and pull a thread, and that way I get a really straight cut line. It's just an easy way to get perfectly straight cut lines and get everything squared up. And this gadget, oh my God, it is so easy. I normally use like a needle or what I use is things that have been given to me at retreats to use as froggers, and pick out a thread and then very carefully pull it with my fingernails. This thing, you poke it through, you really just pull it back and it grabs the thread and hangs on to it for dear life. It made it so much easier. So this is my new favorite tool for when I'm doing framing and stuff. Thread Pick by Clover. It was like $6 or $7. It was not expensive. And I'd never seen one before. So I think this is a short one. That's everything I've got tonight. Yeah, I think that's it. And I actually need to get this uploaded because I got to get to bed at a decent hour. I've got to get to the airport in the morning. So next time I see you, it will be in 2 weeks. I will, knowing me, have more haul than what I need coming back from Galleria and Color and Cotton. I want to visit Color and Cotton while I'm in St. Louis, and then Stitching in the Wild. So we'll have haul. I'll have a lot of stitching to show, and I hope to see some of you at one or both of those retreats. So please come up and say hi. I know a lot of your names, but I don't know your faces, so I need you to say hi and introduce yourself, and I would love to meet you. Happy stitching, everybody. Bye.